never thought a house could feel alive. Not really. Not like it could watch you, breathe around you, or grow impatient. But that's exactly what my first home alone experience taught me. It was during summer break. I was 17, alone for the weekend while my parents went out of town. Our house was old, built in the 1960s, with wooden floors that creaked, narrow hallways, and walls that seemed to sag slightly as though burdened by decades of memories. I didn't think about it when I moved in, it just seemed quaint. Until the noises started. The first night I was lying in bed, scrolling through my phone. I thought I heard something behind my bedroom wall, a soft scratching, almost like a fingernail brushing along the plaster. I froze. Tried to convince myself it was nothing. Mice settling wood, a tree brushing against the siding. Logical explanations. But the scratching became tapping. Regular. Deliberate. Tap, tap, tap. I pressed my ear against the wall. Nothing. My room was still silent except for my own heartbeat. I rolled onto my side and tried to sleep. The next night it was louder. And I wasn't imagining it. The sound came from multiple spots. The wall behind my bed, the closet, even under the floorboards near my dresser. I told myself it was the house. Old houses make weird sounds. But the pattern unnerved me. Someone, or something, was moving. Or at least pretending to. On the third night, I couldn't resist investigating. I walked slowly to the closet. My phone flashlight illuminated the dark corners. Nothing. Clothes hung neatly. Boxes stacked in order. But the scratching stopped the second I entered the closet. I froze. Waited. A soft click came from inside the wall. Then a whisper, almost inaudible. "Why are you here?" I swear I felt it through the plaster. My spine stiffened. I ran to my room and locked the door. Sleep didn't come. The entire night, I lay awake listening. Every sound amplified. The vent rattling, pipes humming, even my own breath. And sometimes, I swore I could hear footsteps moving slowly behind the walls, circling the room. By the fourth night, it got worse. The noises weren't random. They were deliberate. Scratches across the wall formed lines like letters. I caught glimpses of shapes, shadows, moving under the thin plaster. I tried to call my parents, but my cell had no service inside the old house. The next morning, I considered leaving. But the thought of leaving the house in the middle of the night alone made my stomach twist in fear. I stayed. I tried to convince myself I was imagining things. That night, I heard a door slam, my bedroom door, which I had locked. My pulse spiked. I stayed frozen under the covers. Seconds passed. Then a slow, dragging sound from the closet. I mustered courage. I grabbed the baseball bat under my bed and slowly approached the closet. I flung the door open. Empty. Nothing there. The scratching started again. But now it wasn't coming from the walls. It was inside the closet itself. The boxes, the shelves, the clothes, all vibrating, tapping as if something inside was moving. I tried to run for the front door. But it wouldn't open. The handle turned, but the door wouldn't budge. My window, same thing. Locked tight. Something didn't want me to leave. Then the whisper came, clear as day. "Don't leave." I stumbled backward. The closet door slammed shut on its own. The temperature dropped instantly. My breath came out in foggy clouds. Shadows twisted across the walls, moving in ways that defied logic. I could see shapes, human almost but wrong. Too long, too thin, faces blurred and indistinct. Panic surged. I banged on the closet door. Screamed. Nothing helped. And then I realized the sounds weren't random. They were following me. Wherever I moved in the room, tapping and scratching echoed my movements as if mocking me. Hours passed, or minutes, I couldn't tell. Time had no meaning. And then I heard it clearly behind the plaster. "You belong here." I lost all sense of control. I ran to the corner of my room and curled up. That's when I heard a voice in my head, not outside, inside my skull. "We've been waiting." I thought I would scream, but the words were so deep, so overwhelming that my throat wouldn't work. My body refused to move. My eyes were fixed on the closet. The shadows had condensed into something humanoid, something watching, breathing. Finally, the front door rattled. I rushed there, yanked it open. Rain poured in. And in that moment, I caught a fleeting glimpse. A tall, thin figure in the hallway, featureless, watching me leave. And then it disappeared. I didn't stop running until I reached a neighbor's house. I told them everything. They called my parents, and when they arrived, we returned together. The house looked ordinary. Nothing moved. Nothing strange. I never went back upstairs alone. My parents eventually sold the house. I still remember the way it felt, the house watching, alive, impatient. And sometimes at night, I wonder if it ever let someone else in, the same way it trapped me. Because if it can move in walls, it can move anywhere. And wherever it is now, it's waiting. I still think about that phone call more than I should. Not because anything dramatic happened afterward, but because nothing did. No explanation ever arrived. No closure. Just the memory of someone knowing too much, too precisely, at a moment when I truly was alone. It happened on a weekday evening. I was home by myself for the first time in a long while. My parents had gone out of town unexpectedly, and I stayed back because of school. The house felt larger than usual, quieter in a way that made every sound noticeable. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant bark of a dog outside, the occasional creak that old houses make when they cool down at night. I wasn't scared, just aware. I remember checking the doors earlier than usual, locking them without thinking much about it, turning on more lights than necessary. Small habits you pick up when no one else is around. The phone rang around 9:40 p.m. We still had a landline then. Nobody used it much anymore. Friends called my cell. Family texted. When the landline rang, it usually meant spam, wrong numbers, or distant relatives. I let it ring twice before picking up. Hello? There was a pause. Not silence, breathing. Soft, controlled, like someone holding the phone close but not quite speaking yet. Hi, a man finally said. His voice was calm, neutral, not rushed. Is your mom home? No, I replied. She's not. Another pause. What about your dad? He's not home either. The line stayed quiet for a second longer than felt normal. I almost asked who was calling, but he spoke again first. So you're alone tonight? It wasn't a question, and that's when my attention sharpened. Yes, I said slowly. Who is this? He ignored the question. You're in the living room, right? My stomach tightened. I didn't answer. I can hear the TV, he continued. It's loud. It was. I hadn't realized how loud until that moment. Who is this? I asked again, firmer now. He laughed softly. Not amused, more like acknowledging something obvious. Relax. I just wanted to talk. I stood up without thinking, phone pressed tight against my ear, eyes scanning the room. The curtains were drawn. The doors were locked. Everything looked the same as it had minutes earlier. How did you get this number? I asked. You'd be surprised how easy it is, he said. Especially when no one else is home. My heart started beating harder. I lowered the volume on the TV with the remote, the sound suddenly feeling intrusive. Stop calling, I said. I'm hanging up. You can, he replied. But I'll still know you're alone. That sentence did something to me. It wasn't threatening. It wasn't dramatic. It was factual. And that made it worse. I hung up. For a moment, the house felt too quiet. I stood there listening, phone still in my hand, waiting to hear something. Footsteps, a knock, anything that would turn the fear into something concrete. Nothing happened. I told myself it was a prank. Someone guessing. Someone bluffing. I locked the phone in its cradle and tried to return to the couch, but I didn't sit. I stayed standing, listening. The phone rang again less than a minute later. I didn't answer. It rang a third time. Then stopped. Then my cell phone vibrated in my pocket. Unknown number. I stared at the screen, my mouth dry. The landline was silent now, but my phone kept buzzing. I answered before I could stop myself. You shouldn't ignore people, the same voice said. It's rude. My skin prickled. This isn't funny, I said. I'm calling the police. That's fine, he replied calmly. You can do that. But you might want to check the back door first. My chest tightened. I didn't move. It sticks sometimes, he continued. You really have to pull. I felt cold all over. Slowly, without taking my eyes off the hallway, I stepped backward until I could see the kitchen entrance. From there, the back door was visible. It was closed. Locked. At least it looked locked. I didn't open it, I said. I know, he replied. You locked it earlier. Around 7. My hands started shaking. How do you know that? I whispered. I pay attention, he said. You don't. I hung up again. This time I didn't wait. I grabbed my keys, my jacket, and moved toward the front door. I didn't care if I looked ridiculous. I just wanted out. That's when the phone rang again. Landline. I stopped with my hand on the doorknob. Slowly I turned around and stared at it. The ringing echoed through the house, steady and patient. I didn't answer. It stopped on its own. I stood there for a long time listening. No footsteps. No movement. Just the house quiet again. Eventually I left. I stayed at a friend's place that night. I didn't tell them everything, just that I felt uncomfortable being alone. The next morning I came back with my parents. We checked the house. Doors, windows, locks. Everything was secure. No signs of tampering. No forced entry. Nothing missing. The phone company couldn't trace the calls. Unknown numbers. No record worth following. Life moved on. It always does. But sometimes when I'm alone at night and my phone rings unexpectedly, I remember the way he spoke, like someone standing just outside your field of vision. And what unsettles me most isn't the idea that someone was watching me. It's the possibility that no one was. That the call didn't come from outside the house at all. Because whoever it was never tried to hurt me. Never broke in. Never followed up. They just wanted me to know one thing. That I wasn't as alone as I thought. Grew up in that house, so I knew its sounds. I knew which floorboards creaked when the eye weather changed, which pipes knocked when someone used the shower, and how the stairs sounded when someone went up them too quickly. That's why I can say without hesitation that what I heard that night wasn't the house settling. It was walking. I was home alone for the weekend. My parents were visiting relatives in another state, and I had insisted on staying behind. I was old enough, responsible enough, and honestly, I liked the quiet. The house wasn't small. 2 floors, old construction, thick wood, the kind of place where sound carries clearly if you're paying attention. That evening was unremarkable. I ate dinner, watched TV, answered a few messages. Nothing out of the ordinary. The house felt normal, familiar. Safe in the way only places you've lived in for years can feel. Around 10, I turned off the TV and sat in silence for a while. Not intentionally. I just didn't turn anything back on. The quiet felt heavier than usual, but I didn't think much of it. Being alone has a way of sharpening your awareness. That's when I heard the first sound. A slow, deliberate creak from above me. I looked up instinctively, even though I knew that made no sense. The ceiling didn't reveal anything, of course. But the sound came from the exact area where the upstairs hallway began, a place I had walked thousands of times. I waited. Another creak followed. Then another. They weren't random. They had rhythm. Wait. Spacing. Someone was walking. I told myself it was nothing. Houses make noise. Old wood expands and contracts. That explanation usually works, but not that night. The sound moved. It traveled from one end of the hallway to the other, slow and unhurried, like someone pacing. I stayed where I was, listening. The steps reached the top of the staircase and stopped. That pause was worse than the sound itself. Whoever, or whatever, had been walking was now standing still. I remember holding my breath without realizing it. My ears strained for anything else. Breathing, shifting weight, the smallest confirmation that I wasn't imagining it. Nothing. Then the footsteps resumed, this time moving away from the stairs toward the bedrooms. I didn't go upstairs. I didn't call out. I didn't do anything brave. I stayed exactly where I was, frozen by the certainty that the sound was intentional, that it had direction. I knew I was alone. I had locked the doors myself. I had checked them earlier without even realizing why. The footsteps stopped again. This time closer, directly above the living room. The ceiling creaked softly, like pressure being applied and released. Not footsteps, now shifting. Standing. I felt a pressure in my chest that I couldn't explain. A sense of being observed without being seen. I wasn't scared in a loud, panicked way. It was quieter than that. Heavier. The kind of fear that tells you not to move because movement might be noticed. Minutes passed. Or seconds. I still don't know. Eventually I heard it again. One step. Then another. This time they moved toward the bathroom. The upstairs bathroom. I could tell because of where the pipes ran. I heard the faint knock of metal as weight passed near them. The bathroom door did not open. The footsteps stopped just outside it. I stood up slowly, every muscle tense. Part of me wanted to leave the house immediately. Another part couldn't accept what was happening. I needed proof, or reassurance, or something to anchor me back to reality. I called my dad. He answered groggily, annoyed at being woken up. "I think someone's in the house," I said quietly. He sighed. "You're alone too long. The house is old." "I hear someone upstairs," I said. "They're walking around." Silence on the line. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Yes." "Go check," he said. "Probably the pipes or the wood." I didn't respond. "Are the doors locked?" he added. "Yes." "Then no one's there." I ended the call without saying goodbye. The footsteps started again almost immediately after. This time faster. Not running. Just purposeful. They crossed the hallway, entered one of the bedrooms, then stopped. I felt something shift inside me, a realization I didn't want to articulate. Whatever was upstairs wasn't wandering aimlessly. It was moving through the house the way someone familiar with it would. The way I would. I grabbed my keys and phone and moved toward the front door as quietly as I could. The sound of my own breathing felt too loud. The floor beneath my feet betrayed me with a soft creak, and I froze, waiting for a response from above. Nothing. I unlocked the door and stepped outside, pulling it closed behind me with more force than I intended. The night air felt unreal, like stepping into a different world. I stood on the porch for a long moment, listening. From outside, the house was silent. I didn't go back in. I stayed in my car until morning, parked under a streetlight, watching the house from across the road like it belonged to someone else. When daylight came, I returned. The house looked ordinary again. Harmless. Every door upstairs was exactly as I'd left it. No signs of disturbance. No explanation waiting for me. I told myself it was stress. Fatigue. My imagination filling in gaps. But that explanation unraveled a few weeks later. I was home again, not alone this time. My parents were downstairs with me, talking, laughing. The house felt alive. Then we heard it. Footsteps. Upstairs. Clear. Heavy. Unmistakable. My mom stopped mid-sentence. My dad looked up slowly. "Did you hear that?" he asked. We all did. We went upstairs together. Every room was empty. No one ever mentioned it again. But I still think about how natural those footsteps sounded. How unafraid. How comfortable. Like whoever was walking didn't consider us intruders at all. Like the house wasn't empty that night. Like it never really is.